We all have our own narratives around our possessions. Some of these are culturally based, some are from our family of origin, and some are just based on our personal experiences. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that. There's a lot of content in channels like mine or other minimalism channels where we talk about practical tips for getting rid of things. And that's good. That is what we need a lot of the time. But I'm sort of realizing, like, unless we take the time to also make these mental shifts from one way of thinking to another, we're never gonna really change our relationship with stuff. And so we can't expect there to be long-term effects. So in this video, I want to talk about 7 minimalistic mindset shifts that have really helped me embrace minimalism and decluttering more in my life. And I hope that they can help you change your relationship with your stuff as well. So let's get to it. Mindset shift number 1. You can appreciate a gift without keeping it. There are a lot of us out here holding on to things because we feel obligated to keep them because somebody was sweet and gave them to us. Or maybe it's a little bit of people pleasing because we are afraid that they'll get upset if they notice that we've decluttered something that they gave us. And that's just not a fun way to use your space. If you have something that you don't really want, but you feel like you have to keep because someone else gave it to you for whatever reason. So that's why this mindset shift is really important, because you do not have to keep an item in order to appreciate the thought and the effort and the time and the money that went into procuring it for you. And when you accept this, the idea that you can appreciate a gift without keeping it forever, you'll probably notice the following benefits for your life. 1, you can be truly grateful for people's intentions without feeling like their gifts are a burden. Number 2, you are free to get rid of things that you don't want but feel like you're keeping out of obligation. And number 3, you will feel more free and in control of your space. Ultimately, you can't change or control other people's opinions of you or what they will think when they notice that you've gotten rid of something that they gave you. But you can change your own mindset about this and give yourself a little more peace of mind. And I'm not saying that you need to make this mindset shift and then just go get rid of everything that anyone has ever given to you that means something to you. That's not it at all. You can certainly keep items that you are sentimentally attached to that have really fond memories, but you don't have to keep anything that feels like an obligation or a chore. Mindset shift number 2, you're not saving money if you buy something on sale that you don't need. And I've talked about this before. I think the most recent one that I've talked about in was my hidden benefits of a decluttered space, but there's also, I think, maybe my no buy one where I might have mentioned this. But basically, if you are spending money on something that you have thought long and hard about, that you really think will be a good addition to your life, you've decided that you need it, you have a place for it, you will use it, that can be a good time to go find a sale or wait for a sale on that thing. If you're just browsing sales, I feel like a lot of us do, and then you find a good deal on something that you've never once in your life considered needing, or that you've considered and then decided that you probably wouldn't use, that's not really a good deal if you buy it and you bring it into your home and then you never use it, right? Yeah, it was a good deal for that thing, but you also spent money on it and you're not using it. You're not getting anything for that money. And so I feel like this is a really helpful minimalist shift for buying things, because if you start to think in terms of what do I actually need? What will I actually use? And buying those things instead of going, oh, what's a good deal? I guess I'll buy that. You will end up a lot happier with your purchases. Some other benefits include the fact that you may find a lot more joy in saving up for things and buying something that you've researched and know you really, really want than in getting that momentary high of a good deal. And if you're worried about having less money if you're doing that, as I've tried to implement this mindset shift of I'm not saving money if I buy something on sale that I won't use into my own life, I've actually found that I have about the same amount of money, right? It's just that the things that I'm buying are things that are actually more enriching to my life. Mindset shift number 3, wearing things out is good. A lot of us are in love with perfection, and that is not good for a lot of reasons, some of which have to do with minimalism. And we'll talk about another one of those in a minute. But right now, what I really want to talk about is our cultural obsession with perfection and the pressure that a lot of us feel to make sure that everything we have in our lives looks new and shiny. It can't be stained, it can't be rusted, it has to be like brand new looking, or just brand new itself. We spend a lot of money, first of all, replacing things that don't yet need to be replaced because we want our stuff to look new and classy and be the best. Or two, like fixing things that, like just appearance wise, that don't necessarily need to be fixed otherwise. And there's no problem with, if you have like an old laptop, for example, and you get a new keyboard for it, like I wouldn't say that that falls into this category necessarily if that makes it easier to use or more of a joy to use, right? But there are a lot of things that we do that are kind of on the overconsumption side because we feel this pressure for everything that we own to be perfect in appearance. And so if you can make that shift from like, oh, in order to be accepted, in order to be respected, my stuff has to always look nice and be new, to the perspective of like wearing things out is cool, you'll notice a few things. First of all, it's going to give you confidence to keep things and keep using them because you love them, right? I'm not saying you have to hold on to every single thing that you hate just because using things up is cool. You may also find yourself celebrating when you break something instead of being frustrated because that means that you used it up to the last drop. And it's a really powerful way to help yourself cultivate contentment with what you already have. Mindset shift number 4. You are not losing something. You are gaining space, clarity, and time. As humans, we have very strong adverse reactions to the idea of losing things, whether those things are real things, like in our physical environment, or perceived things. That's one of the reasons that sales work so well, and we have to kind of change our mindset about them, is because our very natural reaction to a limited time sale is that we don't want to lose that deal. And so we buy something, maybe something that we don't need or that we can't afford right now, because we have this powerful motivator of like, we don't want to lose something. And obviously that's going to come into play when we are decluttering. Whenever you grab something that you don't love and you aren't using and you pull it out, but it's just too painful to put it into the donation pile, a lot of times that is driven by a fear of losing something. And honestly, that fear is valid. When you declutter something, something is leaving your house. The physical object itself and also any memories or thoughts or ideas that you had attached to it, those are all leaving, and that's valid. But if you want to be able to move forward and keep getting rid of things, it often helps to also remind yourself of what you're gaining in the process of getting rid of things. And the things that you're gaining are, first of all, space. When we declutter, we gain space in both our physical environment and in our minds, because we are shortening the list of things that we have to pay attention to, that we have to dust, that we have to repair, that we have to straighten up or find a place for, etc., etc., etc. We're also gaining clarity because we're able to truly focus on the things that make our lives happy. And finally, we're also gaining time because less maintenance means more time, and it's also easier to stay organized and find your things when you need them. But of course, that's not the only mindset shift that we're going to talk about in this video that can transform your entire decluttering process. The next one is this: perfectionism is not the goal. Enjoying your life is. I was just talking to a friend about this the other day, but I feel like a lot of us get caught up in this cycle of thinking about how other people would want our space to look, how they would use it, how they would organize it, how they would judge it if they were to see it or when they see it. In the process, we are so busy judging ourselves and our spaces that we sort of fall into this mindset of like our homes have to be perfect. We don't want to be embarrassed when somebody comes over to visit. We want to impress. We don't want to push people away with the way that our homes look. And yeah, like I can relate to all of those things, but perfectionism is a really, really unhealthy motivator. First of all, because you're never going to reach a perfect state with your house. And I think that even as much as many of us want to have the perfectly decluttered home, like we know that. And so there's a part of our brains that just goes, you know what, like it's never going to be perfect. So why even try? Why even start? And if we do manage to get started, like it's really hard to keep going when things get tough because again, we know that we're never going to reach our goal of perfection. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. The real beauty of minimalism isn't having a perfect home. the real beauty of being a minimalist is that you have more time and space for the things and people that you enjoy. Okay? Like, perfectionism is not the goal. Enjoying your life is. I am serious. And if you can embrace this mindset shift, first of all, you'll be able to be gentler on yourself. It'll be much, much easier to celebrate smaller victories. And every little thing that you declutter, you will see as a step toward creating space and time for the things and people that matter most to you. And that's a really beautiful thing. Which brings me to people are more important than things. I also talked about this one in my sentimental items video, but this one has been huge for me. Most of us naturally think that it's the job of humans to take care of things. And I'm not saying that you should let people just like be careless with your things or disrespect your things. But I feel like sometimes we take it too far in the opposite direction and we sort of baby our things, but we get upset with people if an accident happens. I have definitely been guilty of this, and that's not who I want to be. I want the people in my life to know that they are infinitely more important than any of the things that I own, because, you own things, you use things. You don't own people, you don't use people. People are more important than things. And truly practicing this idea can lead you to some kind of unexpected benefits. First of all, it really recalibrates your attachment level to your things. I'm not saying you need to be totally detached from your things, but if you are overly attached, reminding yourself consistently that people are more important than things and then living that out gives you a much looser hold on your possessions that also ends up making decluttering easier. You're able to be chill about it because things can be replaced or thrown away or decluttered if something happens to them, right? And it also allows you to be more generous with your things because lending them out or letting someone else use them is not such a big deal because you agree that people are more important than things. Obviously with boundaries. Okay. Keeping only what you use isn't failure. It's self-acceptance. In the mini video series that I did where I talked about the different blocks that all of us have to decluttering, one of the things that I talked about is this idea that a lot of times we buy things based on these idealized versions of ourselves. Maybe we want to start working out. For a lot of people, exercise equipment is this kind of thing. You want to start working out, so you buy the exercise equipment, but then it just sits around collecting dust, making you feel badly about yourself for not using it, but also not really changing your life in any significant way. And again, I have no problem with keeping a few small aspirational items around. In one of those videos, I think I recommended actually putting it out where you can see it so that you will use it. But please, 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 please do not fill your life with only items that make you feel poorly about the person that you aren't yet. It is not a failure. Maybe your life has been crazy and so you don't have time to use that thing, get into that new hobby, take up that new practice that you thought that this item would be helpful for. Or maybe it's just not you. Either way, that is okay. And it is okay to declutter those items. It is okay to rebuy items when the time is right. It is okay to never get into that thing and just forget about it entirely. At this point in your decluttering journey where you've reached the point where you've really made all of these mindset shifts and you're starting to view getting rid of these things as self-acceptance, you'll see some benefits. You feel more like yourself. You feel more free to be yourself, and you can get rid of things without feeling super horrible or judging yourself for never using them. And then finally, decluttering is not an act of punishment. It is an act of self-care. I think that most of us view decluttering as a punishment or at the very least as a chore. And I don't really know why this is. My best guess, and I'm not a therapist, so don't quote me on that. But my best guess is that probably a lot of us, our brains have never bothered to rethink the idea of cleaning our rooms being a punishment or a chore. And so when we, become adults and we move into bigger spaces and we're responsible for more and more things, we just sort of feel like cleaning our homes is a punishment and a chore, just like cleaning our rooms might have been as kids. But again, I feel like that's getting into psychological territory that I am not qualified to talk on. That's just my best guess. But I feel like it matches with a lot of the internal dialogue that we have, either consciously or unconsciously, where it's oh, I was bad and I let my space get messy. And so now I have to pay the price of picking it up. And so to help you make this mindset shift, I'm just going to remind you of the very helpful advice from Casey Davis, who is a therapist. She does know her psychology, in her book, How to Keep House While Drowning, where she describes clutter and mess as morally neutral. A lot of us are raised to think that it's bad. It is not. It is morally neutral. Being a messy person doesn't really reflect on the content of your character. And I'll be honest, I think of myself as a naturally messy person. I don't think that most of the people in my life would view me that way, but to me, like, there is sometimes a lot of mess. It gets out of control, and I get stressed out by the fact that there is mess in my environment. But I also don't just put things away right away every time because it bothers me that much, right? Like, it's like always this like back and forth and back and forth. And I mean, my husband can be messy too. It's not like I'm the only person messing up our house, but like, we are minimalists in part because when we need to pick up our house, either after each other or after ourselves, it's a lot easier to do that if we have fewer possessions. But then the other thing is just like, we know that like having a clutter-free space can be a very, very good thing for our mental health. And so that's part of being a minimalist too, that we see like direct results in our mental health from, right? Like, decluttering is not a punishment. It's an act of self-care, because when you are sitting in a decluttered, peaceful space, that does a lot for your brain. At least it does for mine. So when you start to declutter as self-care instead of punishment, or instead of as a chore, you'll notice some things. You'll notice that you start to dread the process less. You'll see that it's easier to look around, notice, and be grateful for your progress, no matter how small it is. You'll find that you can self-regulate around it and during it a little bit more easily, and probably after it as well. And you may even find yourself getting excited to declutter. That's a high bar, I know. You may not immediately fall in love with decluttering after watching this video, and that's not really the point. The point is, I want you to take the mindset shifts that you feel like would be most helpful for you. Try to incorporate those into your daily thought processes, into your life, into your practice as you are decluttering and practicing minimalism. And just really see how they change your relationship with your stuff in decluttering. You can come back and watch this video as many times as you need to remind yourselves of these things. I'm rooting for you, and I really, really hope that these mindset shifts have and will help you really rework your relationship with your stuff. I know it's hard work. I've been there. I'm still doing it for myself, but it is work worth doing. Thank you so much for watching. I know I referenced a lot of my other videos in this video, and so I will link to all of those in the description in case any of them piqued your interest. I'll also link to a couple of them here. And until next time, bye!